Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Avengers Endgame Spoilercast. Yes, if you haven't heard, there's a movie called Avengers Endgame. It's
not that big of a deal.
No. It's smashing box office records everywhere, and we are here to spoil the hell out of it.
Yes.
So, if you do not want to be spoiled about Avengers Endgame, please turn this episode off, go watch the movie, enjoy yourself, and return.
Yes, please do. I know this has been a big movie and a big moment for a lot of people, a lot of fans of the Marvel movies that have been going down, and so I know we've worked diligently to avoid spoilers, but also to make sure that we don't spoil it for anyone else.
Yes. Now, this is obviously it's an official spoiler cast, so please do not share this with people who haven't seen it. Wait till they've seen it. Again, Southern Geek spoiler cast for Avengers Endgame. You have been warned. Now to start the show. Alright guys, so we got a little bit of housekeeping going in here, and I just want to thank our patrons, our producer tier patrons, just real quick before we jump too far in, because they enable all of this, and without them, we can't bring you this good content. So, Chuck O'Brien, Jossie Moore, Sam Sugg, Jeremy Moses, Tyler Hughes, Kim Sidar, and Steven Sanders, thank you all very much for your continued support. It is extremely appreciated. And it was fun seeing the movie with some of you.
I know. Even before jumping into the spoiler cast, definitely want to thank everybody who came out to the local meetup for Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, we had BlackRock show up.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was pretty cool. He's in our Twitch streams every once in a while, talking at us and all that. He's a pretty cool dude. And General Palace showed up, as well as a couple other folks that are friends of the show. So, still, thank you everyone who did show up and made it out. And I don't know if you know this, but we do stream video games on a regular basis as well as our podcasts. The reason why we're not streaming this is because, in all honesty, Endgame is still upon us, and people haven't seen it yet. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do a little VOD action instead. We'll schedule it for release on Twitch and YouTube and push that out that way, and we'll be there to interact. But, in all honesty, we don't want to spoil the show. I'm sorry, but...
Yeah, we don't.
What was that? Thanos still demands our silence.
Yeah, there you go. Don't spoil the end game.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, don't spoil it. This is a truly... Actually, I'd say this is a cultural event.
Yes. 100%.
Especially for those in the geek space. So, just a heads up. We are going to release this, but, in a very controlled manner.
The spoiler warning is now lifted. At this point in time, any spoilers can and will be discussed on the microphone.
Yes. Now, before we get into that, though, I just want everyone to know you can check us out over at twitch.tv/RocketPunchLive. You can see everything we do over at RocketPunchGo.com. And, of course, this is the Southern Geek Spoilercast for Endgame. But we have another podcast that's a bit awesome, too. It's just all about gaming. And it's called the Rocket Punch Cast. Yes. So check us out over there to see everything else. On with the spoilers. So, first, before we go anything, estimated just domestic revenue is like $350 million for opening weekend. Yes. Holy crap!
Yeah, we got numbers before we recorded this from BoxOfficeMojo.com. A $350 million estimated domestic revenue or domestic gross. Blah, 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 blah. Make sure I'm reading this. Opening weekend. To put that in perspective, the previous record holder for that was Infinity War, and that made $257 million. So,
literally the part one to this film.
And even more mind-bogglingly impressive is that on opening weekend, this is the first movie ever to rake in over $1 billion, with a B, $1 billion globally on opening weekend. It's estimating at $1.2 billion globally.
This is absolutely nuts to me because literally Thanos flexed his right bicep and it made $1.2 billion.
Yep.
Wait, hang on. You know what else is really nuts to me with everything going on? And this is kind of sidetracking here. Mm-hmm. The fact that this is essentially the culmination to the last 22 films. And half the people going to see this movie haven't seen those films.
What's funny is I was in the theater. Full disclosure, I've seen the movie 3 times already as of this recording. Probably plan to see it way more. But
I'm going to see it at least 3 more times.
I went into the theater and there were people who I watched it with who hadn't even watched movies like Ant-Man, any of the Ant-Man movies, which is integral.
Literally, this movie doesn't happen without Ant-Man.
Yeah, like integral to the plot of the movie, and a couple other things. I'm like, wow, you got to get on that. But I'm curious if it's okay. Well, I'm going to read through just very briefly.
No, go for it.
They have a full list of all the records that this movie broke. I'm going to go through them just very briefly.
Okay.
Largest Thursday preview,
60 million.
widest opening.
Okay. Oh yeah, 4,662 theaters.
Yep. Largest Friday opening day and single day.
I believe that.
Largest Saturday, largest Sunday, domestic opening weekend, number one movie market share with 90%, highest per theater average, wide opening, largest April opening, spring opening, PG-13 opening, and 3-day gross, biggest weekend overall, fastest to 100 million, fastest to 150 million, fastest to 200 million, fastest to 250 million, fastest to 300 million, fastest to 350 million, international opening day, worldwide opening weekend, global 3D opening record, global IMAX opening record. It broke 20 different records.
Hang on, let's go through these other prior record holders. And I'm not going to say the names. I'm just going to say if Disney owns them or not. All right. So Thursday previous record, Disney owned it. All right. The second one, no. That was a non-Disney owner. The next one after that, Disney owned it. Next one after that, Disney owned it. Next one after that, Disney owned it. Disney owned it.
I mean, I'm scanning real quick.
Disney
I can
owned
save
it.
you trouble. Disney owned every other one except for one. There were out of the 22 of them.
Yeah.
Disney was not the previous record holder.
Yeah, literally two of them Disney didn't own, and now they own all of them.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for Despicable. I'm sorry, was that Despicable Me 3 and Fast and the Furious? Because that was literally their claim to fame.
You don't. No, you don't. You don't.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. Like, I like Fast and the Furious, but calm down.
But let's jump in here. I want to talk about what did you think of the movie?
Personal opinion, if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd give it a 9.5.
9.5. Okay.
That's where I'm at. That's with the one viewing. That's after discussing theories and everything else. That's after watching every Marvel movie ever several times over. I watched Infinity War, I think, 7 times in the last 2 months.
Holy crap! Really?
Yeah.
Oh snap! I didn't even know
No,
that.
I was analyzing the hell out of the film. Straight up studying it. I think the Russo brothers can officially be put on record as some of the most profitable directors ever.
Actually, let's give a round of applause to them. They are the only directors to have 3 $1 billion movies.
Oh, really?
Civil War, Captain America: Civil War.
All right.
Avengers: Infinity War.
Avengers
Endgame. They've directed $3 billion movies. They're the only directors that have done it. That's very impressive.
Literally, they could walk into anywhere now and say, "We demand this," and people are just be like, "Yes, sir, Mr. Russo."
I mean, it also doesn't help that they have the House of Mouse powering them.
Well, yeah, I mean, they literally have an infinite budget possibility at this point, and it doesn't matter.
I read somewhere, since we're talking about numbers, I read somewhere that this weekend alone, Marvel has made back their money on everything they spent for this movie. That includes production, pre-production, actors, advertising, ad revenue, spaces, printing out every penny they spent on Endgame to prepare for this.
Back.
They've already gotten back, which means everything after this weekend.
That cheddar.
That gravy.
That dollar bill. Y'all.
Got that gravy train going on.
It's also already the #1 pre-order movie on iTunes.
I was like, what?
I literally, leaving the theater, pulled up iTunes and just pre-ordered the movie on my phone. I'm like, yes.
And it was already, I think it's still the top movies as of this recording on iTunes.
Hang on. Let's just pull up my phone.
That blows my mind.
Hang on. iTunes Store, movies. I've done nothing else. It's literally the top. It's hard to see this here. The next one after that is The Mule. And you know what is after that? Avengers: Infinity War. After that, The Avengers. then Glass, then Lego Movie, then Captain America.
Yep.
They literally, the House of Mouse owns
Yep.
iTunes right now for the top row. Like, oh, and I'm sorry, if you scroll over again, then you have Age of Ultron, Iron Man, Civil War.
Yeah, people have been really digging back into those movies.
This is insane. It's literally the #1 movie in iTunes still.
And what's funny is that people were saying before this weekend that 300 million was they might be able to hit 300 million. They kind of just blah.
Hang on. I believe I'm on record saying that it will easily hit that.
I think if you go back to one of I think when we did the trailer breakdown, I think we talked about that.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I just feel real vindicated right now. Yeah, no. Personally, this movie had a lot of highs and lows, and they were timed so well. I don't know how these guys do it as far as pacing. The writers on this movie need to be applauded.
Yeah,
because
they've been Christopher Marcus and Stephen Feely. I think they've been the writers for the entire saga since I think the first one.
I know it's still nuts to think about though. All right, so let's start in on the movie because we can sit here and talk all day, but in all seriousness, let's talk about
Let's talk about the movie.
The opening. With Hawkeye.
How about with Hawkeye? Oh, man.
I mean, that's literally the opening scene.
I knew it was coming.
Oh, well, we had to know that they were going to give Hawkeye motivation to go the dark path he goes.
Yeah.
To become Ronin, because to be Ronin, you have to either vacate the Hawkeye name and have Kate Bishop pick it up, which she's not introduced in these films.
Nope.
So it was a subtle nod at Kate Bishop when they was like, "All right, Hawkeye," when he's talking to his daughter. I thought that was real cute.
That was cute. And the way they framed that as well, and kind of how he's like, "Okay, we're gonna eat hot dogs. Let me give this arrow. Okay, kid, let's go." And you don't see anything. You just see the little specks of dust that are floating in the air.
And hang on. Did you hear me say, "Oh fuck"?
Oh yeah. Every time I went to a showing, somebody in the theater was like, "Oh no! Oh my god!" It was
I knew they were going to either kill the family or kill someone close to him to make him go that route. I didn't think they were going to do the entire family.
Oh, I figured they.
I figured they were going to leave the mom and just take the kids. And I was just like, "Oh shit, man! No! They sent all of you."
They took everyone but him, and hit the panic in his face when he's like, "What's going on? What's happening?" And
I mean, at that point, they literally just disappeared into thin air, and he had no idea what's going on.
Nope. He's spinning around.
He's literally at a picnic with his family on his farm.
And it really also reminds you kind of, yes, I know if you pull the curtain up, you can see we got all these movies coming up in Phase 4, but coming in and seeing, it really sets the tone back again as to what happened at the end of Infinity War.
Yeah, and it's a quick reminder.
The gravitas behind half the beings in the universe are gone, just like that. But no, going from that, I think that was a great kind of remember what happened last time? Yeah, it's happening to Hawkeye, and kind of seeing where Hawkeye's at and how he kind of works his way back into the team, and then kind of going from there directly to instead of I'm going to encompass just the first 15 to 20 minutes because it kind of just
it covers a lot of ground.
It didn't go anywhere the way I expected it to go.
So what did you expect?
I think like most people, I was just thinking it's going to be this 3-hour huge epic battle between them trying to find Thanos and then finally finding him and we're going to have this duke it out. And what's so interesting is that doesn't happen. I read a tweet that all of the trailers for Endgame that were released beforehand, about 90% of the footage is from the first 15 minutes of the movie. And they're not joking at all.
Yep.
Which is even more awesome. What? I don't know what's going to happen.
And all the trailers they released, they all had countering things to confuse people.
Yes.
They literally were trying to confuse you with all the advertising material, which I thought was brilliant. It's no. You have no idea what you're going into. This is all just building hype.
The fact that theory everybody called it that Captain Marvel is the one who saves Tony.
That's the one that made most sense. I mean, they're out of fuel. who has cosmic powers? Oh, bring in the Super Saiyan, and I mean,
she's gonna lift the ship and bring it back home. So.
I mean, let's be real. Who else can glow golden?
Yeah,
she's a Super Saiyan. I don't care what anybody says.
And we're gonna. This is gonna be brought up a lot from me. There are a lot of highs and lows you talked about, like a lot of like. This was a roller coaster of a movie, and not in a bad way.
No, I mean, so going back, before we jump into that, Tony teaching Nebula how to play paper football. I was just like, the fuck? They're playing paper foot? Really? Oh, okay, this is where we're at. I feel like that's just a very human thing to do to pass time. It's just like, I'm bored out of my mind. I can't do anything else. Like, yeah, awesome. Let's do something.
Yeah, it was just really interesting. I'm putting in notes here. So
I saw it.
It's so interesting in what Marvel has done so well the past 11 years is kind of add those human moments.
Yeah, and
human elements into their movies.
You know, the crazy thing is like the CG was so good on Tony to make him look like he was deteriorating like on his body from like not eating and all that stuff. It is insane to me. It was like, holy crap, man. Like, this is leaps and bounds over the CG they used on Chris Evans.
Oh yeah,
back in the first Avenger.
First Avenger.
Oh my god, it's not. It does not compare. Like, it really doesn't.
Jumping in and a lot of emotional stuff in the first couple of minutes. I think the big one when Tony is finally like he's hooked up to an IV and they're in discussing the plans and kind of him really having a huge breakdown at Steve. A lot of Ultron references. So glad I watched that movie beforehand.
Well, and the crazy thing is, like, it's funny because a lot of this was vindication for Tony. It was like, no, I saw this coming, but you didn't believe me. Like, and it literally was just like, no, I saw this, and him losing his shit, and rightfully so, to the point where he collapses.
Yeah, he like when he walks up, when he's looking there talking to Steve, telling him like, you know, I said we'd lose. You said we'll do that together too. Well, we did lose, and you weren't there. You couldn't help me, liar. And then when he walks up to him, like stumbles to him and takes off his chest piece. And gives it to Stevens like, you see Thanos, you put this on, and you run away, and just collapses. And it was a really like very emotionally powerful moment for those two characters, and especially when you know the entire arcs they've been through.
Not only that though, I honestly don't know if any of the other actors could have pulled that off like RDJ did. I mean, let's be real. I mean, like, based off what he's been through in his life with everything else going on, what else is happening, of all the actors there, I'm not saying they're bad actors. It's just, I think there's a reason why he's the highest paid, and that scene alone shows it. Yeah. Because that was 100% believable.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was just, man, it was so hard. You can see the pain in Steve's face. He's trying not to, like, he's just like, you know, he's being Steve. He's being Cap. And, you know, he's like, we tried, you know, we lost. I understand. And then Tony's like, no, we lost. Like, we lost. You weren't there. You were gone. You were out doing whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Because he doesn't know that Steve was fighting him on Earth. Yep. He just knows that I was adrift in space and you were not there.
Yep, not at all. And, you know, also the pain of, like, when they get him off the ship and Tony's like, we lost, and Steve's like, so did we, and then he looks at Steve and's like, I lost the kid, and you know, you and that's a big resonant thing in the movie as well. It's not huge, but you see it like him and the regrets he has for losing Peter, losing Spider-Man, and you know the whole time, especially when you watch Homecoming and Civil War, like he's always tried to keep him under his wing, been like almost a pseudo father figure to Peter, and kind of like having to watch him dust was you can already tell was really painful.
I will say, man, I give Tom Holland a lot of props for how he handled himself at the end of the film.
Oh yeah, the fact that was at the end of Endgame or Infinity War.
Both.
Oh yeah.
But that's for later. So past post breakdown though, and the whole black 5 years later.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to the part like how it jumps in from 5 years later.
I'm so sorry. My brain is skipping things.
Well, the whole fact that like this whole 15 minutes, they're in the ship. They find out where Thanos is because they found out he used the stones again, and they find Thanos like instantly, like hold him down, grab his hand, and Thor comes in and says, "Chop."
Well, hang on, no, they interrogate him first. He informs them he's the stones to destroy the stones.
He takes his hand first.
Yeah, you're like, just, and oh man,
the fact that he used. That's when I knew, like, oh, some other crap's going down. How are they going to do this? Because he tells them the stones are gone. I used them to destroy them.
Yeah.
So they don't exist.
Dude. And after that, you see they're talking for a minute. It's just the way Chris Hemsworth looks just destroyed.
Yeah. What did you do? I went for the head.
He literally just cuts his head off a Stormbreaker and walks out slowly.
And there's a lot of, and I'll probably be bringing it up too. There are a lot of Easter eggs and callbacks to other movies and cool little, like, so much. I think people are going to be poring over this movie for months or years trying to find all the cute little Easter eggs. There were some that I figured out in the second or third one that we're going to get to. Okay. I'll bring them up as we get to them. Okay. Different points in the movie, but I was like, oh man, I didn't think about that. But so yeah, and that's the first 15 minutes. That's what it ends up being. I thought it was going to be this huge, drawn-out battle, but no. The first 15 minutes, they've killed Thanos. They figure out the stones are gone, and that's it.
Yeah, it's really nuts to me actually because pause. So somebody I work with, she hasn't seen the movie, and she just wanted one answer: did they kill Thanos? She was like, I don't care about anything else. I just need to know if he dies. My response was, she's like, what? How do you kill someone more than once? I'm like, you gotta watch the movie.
You shouldn't even talk about that. You should have just said yes. And they just walked away. Like, they did kill Thanos. And then, like, this should be like, what? Hold on, they killed him in the first 15 minutes. What?
No, she's still freaking out right now because she can't get a ticket. And she's like, you can't kill someone twice. And I'm like, Marvel did it.
They figured it out.
Ha!
But now we're going to...
Yeah, 5 years later, and then we see Steve in a support group.
What did you think about the 5 years later? Did that catch you off guard?
No, it makes sense because a lot of the promotional stuff, when you see Nat with the longer hair...
You can easily tell that...
Like, it's been a lot of time since the battle in Wakanda.
Yep.
So, you see the blonde down here, the red up here. It shows time passing. And it's interesting how you see Steve in a support group essentially doing what Falcon was doing.
Yep.
Who was leading support groups for troops.
And now they're
coming back home, and now this is people just trying to get back into society.
Yeah. Complete awesome fun fact: the fact that Joe Russo was in. He was the guy talking like, "Oh, that's so cool that he plugged himself into the movie."
I mean, why not? Hey.
Apparently, he's done that with all of them. All the movies they direct, he gets in the movie somehow.
All right.
In the Winter Soldier, he was
cheddar.
The Winter Soldier. He was the doctor that worked on
Fury. First or second doctor? In the ER or
in the ER?
Okay.
In the ER. No. He might have been the one that helped him After Effect. I can't remember. Will's gonna look that up. But going in from that support group, 5 years later, there's a huge dynamic shift that we don't see, but we can only infer from what's going on. Black Widow is now kind of leading the charge, and she's put like a whole lot on her shoulders. The fact that she's leading the charge in Earth, but also trying to help coordinate universal efforts as well.
Yeah.
To try and
she essentially took Fury's spot.
Yeah,
she's more literally the new Fury.
And having those conversations with Nebula and Rocket, and Captain Marvel and Okoye and War Machine. Awesome fun fact. I think some people, I don't know if you noticed it, the what Okoye and her were talking about.
Yeah.
about the underwater earthquakes. A lot of people are thinking that could be in reference to a Namor movie, or him working his way into the MCU, because of course he's the guy that's underwater, for people who don't know Namor, and he has had a lot of run-ins with Black Panther.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So
not only that, then that's Marvel's Aquaman.
Yes,
so,
that is Marvel's Aquaman. 100%.
I mean, literally, Deadpool is their what's his name? Deathstroke.
Yeah, there you go.
Literally a ripoff of Deathstroke, so whatever.
And so that was very interesting to see as well. When I heard that, I'm like, is that what that could mean? I wonder. But kind of, I liked Captain Marvel's new do, because that's especially nowadays.
Like
it's what I'm used to seeing her as now. She didn't have the long hair anymore. She has a short crop cut, which is dope.
I mean, that would make sense fitting in the helmet better.
She still gets the fin up at the top.
Imagine how much pressure that would put on the side of our heads, having all that hair up under that tight little helmet. I mean, to be fair, you're out in space. Probably not a good idea to stretch some seals.
Yeah. But and we still go back. We have this kind of, they're all discussing like their plans. Captain Marvel, and I guess this is a good thing, and you'll see this as well. Like, I actually am okay, especially with how they've treated how powerful Captain Marvel is. That she was not featured as heavily as some people thought she was going to be in this movie.
And I'm okay with that as well, because it also, when she was like, there's a lot of other worlds and none of them have you. Yes. It was like, okay, cool. So that leaves room for the Guardians to come back. That leaves room for more stories around what she's going to be doing. That leaves Celestial room. That leaves...
And they've Marvel has talked about a lot about them going a lot more cosmic and out into space with their movies. I know that the Eternals is slated up.
They were actually they spotted Angelina Jolie down near Marvel HQ.
Yep, there are rumors that she is going to be one of the main Eternal,
which would be pretty cool, man.
That would be pretty dope. Yeah, Angelina Jolie's like, what the money at? Yeah.
Yeah, and they can be like, I'm sorry, we just made $1 billion. None of your movies ever made that. So you gotta calm down.
But it's really interesting. I'm curious if the sequel to Captain Marvel 2, or the Captain Marvel, will investigate, because she said that on multiple occasions, like, there are other worlds that are suffering just like you guys. I'm curious if we'll see those worlds and the efforts that she's been doing out in space come out in the next.
And on a pause, in Infinity War, how Thor mentioned that Xandar was like just ravaged by Thanos. I think that's a good setup for Nova.
I would love Nova. I'd be curious to know which Nova they bring in, whether they bring in Richard Rider Nova, or they bring in Sam Alexander, which is the kid Nova now.
Or what would be even cooler is if they do like a Nova Corps movie, where they have multiple Novas with the superpowers, because it's their gear that gives them the power.
I'd love the Nova Corps.
Just because all I'm saying is, if we could get John C. Reilly as a superpowered dude, I would be all about it. Just, dude, bring him in.
That's what you want to see.
I want to see superpowered John C. Reilly.
Okay. But
look, man, all I'm saying is he was amazing in Talladega Nights, and I would love to see.
It's amazing, and he's hilarious and everything, though.
Dude, yeah. Could you imagine like having a super serious hero, and he's there as just like straight up comic relief, and just messing with them, and he's actually stronger than them the whole time?
That'd be funny. I would get a kick out of that. I would love that.
Make it more like a buddy cop in space. Because the Nova Corps is essentially like the cops.
Yeah, there's basically space cops.
So I mean, they're like the Green Lanterns, as it were, for people who don't understand.
Yep, but a lot more simpler.
Yeah,
a lot simpler.
Because who needs weird floating space heads?
This is also this point in the movie as well. Everybody kind of pulls off. You also hear more allusions to what Clint is doing, Hawkeye's doing as Ronin. Yeah,
because Rhodey is. We're like, look. Bodies everywhere, and I almost don't want to bring him in.
Yeah, and again, you see that emotional inflection, like from Black Widow, and kind of as we've all known what they mean to each other, which is going to come into play later, for better or worse.
Actually, pause. Based on what happens to Black Widow in this film, I think the Black Widow movie is going to end up being about Budapest. because they keep
a lot of people have
referencing
talked. Yeah, a lot of people have
Budapest.
talked about that.
And I think that would be justice to both the characters to have them together in the Black Widow film and her headlining it.
That would be dope. It would be really, really awesome. Because that's a question that I've had is like, what are they going to do with the Black Widow movie?
Especially since
it's Spoilercast. She dies.
She doesn't just die. She dies to get the Soul Stone on Vormir.
I was going to say, well, in our progress here, we're going to get to that topic. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, it gets nuts.
But then, kind of cutting that, Steve coming in, they have a really good heart to heart, and you kind of see them both. You see they're both tired. They see they're both working as best as they can to put on a face.
They're both worn down, man. Like 5 years of having to be the people trying to save everyone, and it's at the point where you can tell Steve is emotionally spent and beyond what he ever thought he would be.
And then through all this process, we get kind of simultaneously, because it leads up to them kind of meeting, is what a lot of people have considered the real hero of the movie, the Rat, that opens up the quantum realm and pulls Scott Lang out from the tunnel.
Which is nuts to me, in all honesty, that to him, 5 years felt like 5 hours.
Yeah. It's bananas, and I really liked what they did. First and foremost, I love, like, Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp are great movies. You need to watch them if you haven't.
They're awesome heist films.
Yes, they are.
Because that's really what they are. They're heist films with superpowers.
And I really like Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, and I liked what they did with him coming out, and really a lot of the emotional stuff. Because Paul, usually in the movies, he's always the very funny, very lighthearted guy, and like him coming out, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. He's in a garage. He can't find hope. He's running down in San Francisco over to the memorials of the people that have vanished.
He's literally trying to find his daughter's name on a pillar, just freaking out looking for her.
And then kind of ending up at her doorstep in that emotional, because I never thought about that, because it's 5 years later, that emotional point when it's Cassie. I thought it was his wife at the door. Like, no, that's Cassie. She's older. She's taller.
And the thing is, Cassie's there. We never see her mom, and we don't see her stepfather.
We don't.
So we don't know if they're alive.
I was curious about that. And
I was like, is Cassie, like, did she spend 5 years alone? As a kid, that's traumatizing.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be rough. But, like, that emotional connection of, like, when they finally do meet, when he realizes that Cassie's okay, he's okay. It was just, it warmed my heart, and kind of bringing to that point there when Ant-Man ends up at the Avengers complex. And you see... Oh, Will is pulling up information on Cassie Lang.
So, for a lot of people who don't know, they're on record at saying that they eventually want her to grow into a hero that will fight alongside her father. And the fact that we have now the time skip to where she's older,
it could happen,
and she's been idolizing her dad for being a hero all these years, means the next Ant-Man movie is probably going to be her joining with Scott and I can't remember her name.
Hope,
thank you. Hope Van Dyne, thank you.
Be interesting. But it, like, having them come, like, the hope, you can see the glimmer or the shock in Steve and Nat's face when they come in there, like, holy crap, this dude's alive. And again, and that's when you kind of fall back into that classic Paul Rudd humor, where he's trying to explain to them about, like, the quantum realm. He's like, is that somebody's sandwich? I'm hungry, I'm starving.
I mean, to be fair, he hadn't eaten in 5 years.
Yeah. Relative terms, but yes, 5 years.
Well, I mean, still, you got to think, like, it's been forever since that boy had a sandwich. Give him a sandwich.
And it you know, and of course, here's the point where I think everybody starts realizing, okay, this is a time travel movie. How did you feel hearing about the time travel? Like, when they first started talking about it, you're like, oh, okay.
I was not surprised at all. I figured it was going to eventually either be time travel or a massive fight to fight the glove off of his hand or cut his hand off and use the glove. So, for me, it wasn't that big of a surprise, because there were so many theories out there of either using the quantum realm to go back in time or stealing the time stone and going back in time. There's all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that it ended up being quantum realm just put a little more edge on it, really.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Also thought it was kind of funny that Hank Pym's technology ended up saving the universe.
It did. The tech that he was like hoarding and didn't want anyone to know about or figure out at all.
He literally didn't want a Stark to have it, and a Stark using his technology saved the universe.
Good point. Ooh, man, good point.
That's going to be a storyline that has to be resolved, kind of like the Iron Man 3 after New York.
Yes. Good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
but
so
here's where we start getting into the I think when the movie starts pulling out a little bit from being this somber tale and the energy starts ramping up, and which isn't a bad thing. It just kind of the pacing of everything. They talk about time travel. They go and initially talk to Tony, because like, who's the smartest guy that can figure out quantum physics? And
it's got to be Tony Stark.
I was gonna say, in big revelations there, Tony has a kid now because it's been 5 years.
Yeah,
he has a daughter.
Oh man, whoever that kid that played his daughter was adorable.
She was precious. I
was like, oh man,
an awesome, cool little plug-in from Infinity War, because if you remember from the first scene in Infinity War, he talks to Pepper about like he had this dream where they had a kid and they named him Morgan, but in his dream it was a boy. So he ends up he gets that kid and it's still Morgan Stark. It was very interesting, and it, as we will talk about in the entire Spoilercast, I think that it was really nice to see Tony's arc and the fact like how he's changed from, remember, the original Iron Man, genius billionaire playboy philanthropist, to now he's a dad,
literally stay-at-home dad. And
they're not in some huge cabin or some huge penthouse in Malibu. They're at some cabin
out in the woods on a lake.
Like completely different parallels, and I really enjoyed that character dynamic and thinking about those past movies. But
you know what else is interesting that they hint at in this scene? The rescue armor he made for Pepper.
Yes, which it was interesting, but I didn't really think anything of it, especially going into the final battle. I'm like, oh, why didn't I put that together? Okay, come on.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty, adorable. It's like, oh man, it's the first time since Iron Man 3 we get to see Pepper with some armor.
Yes, her own armor, not Tony's.
Not like adapting Tony's armor. No. This was made for her.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is going to be interesting, actually. Moving on in the MCU, does that mean she wants to pick up Tony's mantle?
They have confirmed that Gwyneth Paltrow will not be in any other MCU movies. This was her last one.
Oh man, that's a shame.
They confirm it.
Well, at least we got Rescue.
Yeah, we did get Rescue. It's not to say that we don't get maybe a cameo or something, but
not as like fully active and involved and everything.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's kind of a shame because I would have killed for a Rescue movie.
That'd be dope.
I honestly think that would have been cool.
That would have been cool. It but like looking at Tony's arc, I kind of understand him saying no to the whole like time travel thing. It's not going to happen. It can't exist. It doesn't work. Scrap it. Sorry. And so it was really interesting to see him back off. But I think, of course, it just helps build that redemption as well. And
well, yeah, but he's backed off because now he's got a little girl at home.
And that's the big thing, being a father. Like, he doesn't want to risk losing his daughter.
He doesn't want to risk anything for her.
Yep.
Which is crazy because in like 5 minutes he figures out what everybody else can't figure out.
Is that, hey, time travel works. They can make it happen. And it and of course everybody else, Tony says no, they go around, they go talk to Banner.
Oh my god, this scene was amazing.
It blew, like the first part where he basically figured out how to meld Banner and the Hulk together, as one complete being, which I thought was really, really cool because for the entire movie, it was CG Hulk.
Let's correct this. It was Professor Hulk.
There you go. Okay, yeah. I guess that's how we're gonna frame that.
Well, no, that's what he's in the comics when he's
Banner
and him merge. It's called Professor Hulk. Savage Hulk is the big green, like, oh, Hulk smash.
Okay.
And I don't remember what the red one is when he literally rips a mountain up and throws it at somebody.
That's just Red Hulk.
Okay.
Yes,
Whatever. Point is, Professor Hulk. The best of both worlds. You Hulk strength, Banner smarts.
And I love them sitting in the diner. He's got like bowls of sausage and egg and burritos, and then the kids come up.
He's like, "Hey!"
He's like, "Hey, can you take a picture?" And they're like, "See you guys later, Dad. Listen to your
listen to your mom." Just, hey man, look, he's trying to be a positive role model.
Yes, he is.
I was like, you know what? At least Banner was trying to do something good with his size, and be like, yeah, man, you know what? At least he wasn't like in the NBA or something.
Oh yeah, I don't think I would have loved
He's
him.
mentioned trying to guard the Hulk.
Well, I mean, would there have even been an NBA depending on who?
I'm just saying. You imagine just inserting the Hulk into any NBA team.
They would have loved that. But like,
It's okay. He's like 12 feet tall. Don't mind him.
them going in trying to figure out time travel, all the goofy, hilarious stuff they do with Ant-Man.
Oh yeah, it goes baby, old man, younger, older.
And
He comes out. Somebody peed my pants. I think I peed my pants.
What I really liked too within this part is kind of when you have that reconciliation moment with Tony and Steve. When they go out and Tony comes in and says, "Hey, I figured it out." In that moment of, I think one of the comments Tony makes is like, "Resentment is corrosive. I don't like it so much."
Yes.
And they shake hands and kind of.
Then something even better happens. He opens the trunk.
The shield. Like, yeah, you got the shield back. And in that comment that, when Steve's like, "Are you sure?" And Tony's like, "Why not? My dad made it for you." And like hands it to him. I was like, man, it's a really nice, nothing huge, but a nice small moment that I think a lot of people were wanting to see, me included.
Not off screen. We got to see it on screen in the main storyline. Like, you guys split up. It's been a long time, but you're back.
Yep. And kind of as a team and as a unit, and then them working together to kind of grab everybody back.
Oh my God, Thor!
Let's talk about Thor. We have Hulk and Rocket going to New Asgard.
Yeah.
To get Thor.
Oh God.
There were many speculations as to why Thor wasn't seen a lot in all the coverage, and now we figured out why, because he
went on a 5-year kegger.
Yeah, and he let himself go hard, and it was so crazy that even crazier to me is that he was that way the entire movie.
Not like, oh man, all right, got the powers back. No.
He was.
It was Dad Bod Thor the entire time.
I loved Korg and Meek making the
They're
appearance. Literally
playing Fortnite.
And Noob Slayer 69, that whole scene. Oh, Thor, he's back. This kid just called me a dick. What's his Noob Slayer 69?
And they're just sitting there playing on an Xbox.
And Thor threatening him over the Xbox Live. Oh my god!
My god, dude! Great. I really thought that was hilarious that they brought Taika Waititi in just to be Korg for like 5 minutes.
It was awesome. It was so good.
Actually, I gotta say, I really love how all these directors get these small roles that just end up persisting through the films. This is great.
That could be, or it could be smart. That's a great way for you to continue to get money and revenue.
Look at Favreau. He's been around since the beginning.
Yep. Hey man, he hasn't directed a movie since Iron Man 2. He's still making money though.
Happy Hogan, buddy. Oh man. Yeah, so after Thor's 5-year kegger, and he goes from like this, like, I'm a god, I'm going to do what I have to do, and blah, 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 to literally like crying in his like Big Lebowski looking outfit.
Oh my god.
By the way, he's got like a beard down to here. His hair's long again, because it's like 5 years of growth. He didn't do anything. And they comment going in, it smells like something died.
Oh, yeah.
So apparently he's not been keeping up with hygiene either.
And what's interesting too, I want to touch on this because this is another. I didn't realize this until I watched this it a second time, and I watched another Thor movie. So where New Asgard is in Tonsberg. Mm-hmm. Tonsberg is in Norway, which is the land area in Thor Ragnarok where Odin passes.
They literally founded New Asgard near where Odin died.
And it's interesting because I watched Thor Ragnarok before I watched it the second time, and it's right before Odin dies. He keeps telling Thor, like, remember this place, home, and that's where they put New Asgard. And I thought that was an awesome touch.
Yeah,
I didn't catch the first time, and I was like, oh, son of a gun.
Well, I figured they were going to do it in Norway once Odin died there, but I'm just glad they didn't do the whole floating city over Chicago kind of thing, or New York, or taking New York over.
Yeah.
That would have been a pain as far as continuity goes.
But it was seeing him there and like what they've done to Thor, and again, I like loving that art. It makes sense, This is Thor who
literally lost. He didn't have the hero's journey. He lost.
In depending on where you see it from, he's the one who lost the most. He lost his parents. He lost his brother. He lost his best friend.
He literally, of the Lady Sif and the Warriors 3, Lady Sif is the only one left.
He lost his hammer.
Yep.
He lost his realm.
Literally, Asgard is gone. Heimdall is gone. Half of his people were killed.
Yep. Half of the people were killed before Infinity War before the snap even happened.
Yeah.
And this is right after Ragnarok. So Thor has been through the ringer, and to come out and almost have him on death's door and have him look you in the face and say, you should have gone for the head, and give him the snap, and find out that all these people and even to try and redeem himself, and to find out that he's already destroyed the stones. The people that he let go, that he blames himself for losing, are gone.
And they're not coming back.
It really showed, like, knowing that, like, I can understand why he just said, fuck it. I'm just going to play games and watch TV and drink beer, and who gives a fuck, because I've screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, which it's kind of a shitty thing to do, though, because that means Valkyrie was left running Asgard. New Asgard.
Yep. And I was happy that Valkyrie still stayed alive and got everybody out.
Well, yeah, I'm actually really happy with what they're doing with her.
Yeah, I think so.
Man,
I'm curious if she'll have a more prominent role.
Speaking of a character who needs her own movie, I would love to have a movie of seeing all the Valkyrie go after Hela. Instead of like a flashback, like an actual film.
That would be cool. That would be dope.
It was like, oh yeah, you see the thing we referenced? Yeah, we're doing the movie.
Where did they go after Thor? I think they went to get Hawkeye.
No, they went to get Thor. Nat went to get Hawkeye.
Yeah, Nat went to get Hawkeye.
Who was in Japan.
Taking down Yakuza.
Literally going ninja assassin on Japanese crime lords.
Yeah. And the Ronin thing was cool. It was it felt very brief in the movie for me. Which it's not a bad thing. I think some fans may have wanted to see a little bit more of Ronin, but the attitude was still there. But once he took the mask off and Nat and him held hands, and she told him, "Hey, there's hope," he was kind of like, "Okay, I kind of done with this."
Yeah.
But bringing them back in, the whole explanation when they're back at the main facility of how time travel works. And they're trying to explain it to War Machine and Ant-Man.
I love how Ant-Man literally straight face, just like, no, I didn't think it worked like Back to the Future at all.
Yeah.
I love that they reference Back to the Future.
So Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit. And then kind of getting Hawkeye set up to try and do this first trial run. And it makes sense that Hawkeye especially is very eager to do it.
He's literally got a family to try to bring back.
Well, even more so than that, I think his mentality is like, he has nothing left to lose.
True.
Scott is still like, oh my god, I'm so nervous. This is the only chance we have. And he has a kid. He doesn't want anything to happen to him. And Hawkeye's like, doesn't matter to me. My family's gone. They're out. What's the point? And kind of him going back and realizing that, hey, this time travel thing is going to work. That whole, once they figure out it works, the whole scene of them like hashing out the plans for where they need to go. Thor's rambling. about the Reality Stone.
Oh, and his about his old flame. Oh my god, that was hilarious.
About Jane Foster.
I love that they brought Natalie Portman back to essentially be stabbed.
get poked in by a rocket.
Oh my god.
It was just it made the Thor: The Dark World be a somewhat important movie.
It actually, yeah, no, it did. It gave relevance.
And
They really gave every movie relevance with this film.
They did.
I mean, they literally called back to every single film, which is nuts to think.
It was
about.
nice. Like, this movie was 1,000%. Like, there was fan service littered throughout this movie.
I mean, it's 3 hours long. It better have something.
Oh yeah. And Thor rambling about the Reality Stone, them talking about Vormir and the Soul Stone, the Space Stone, and then when they realized, oh my god, if you pick the right year, 3 stones were in New York. Kind of. Then they're set up, and they're on their way to go travel to these different. They split up into groups to travel through these different times. Which group do we want to talk about first?
Let's talk about the Vormir group.
We'll talk about the Vormir. Okay, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So, Black Widow and Hawkeye going to Vormir. And so, in the first time I saw this, I thought it was a little confusing because I thought they knew what was happening. But realizing it...
The only people who knew what happened on Vormir were Red Skull, Thanos, and Gamora.
Nobody else knew. All Nebula was saying was that he killed my sister.
Yeah, we don't know why or how. And they didn't realize it until they get there.
Yeah. But we know, like, oh crap, okay. Like, all the other stuff happens and they save the Vormir part for the end. And I remember I was watching, I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to Vormir. Damn it, one of them's going to die.
Yeah. I thought they were going to kill Clint because there's a confirmed Black Widow movie.
I thought they were going to... My mentality was they were going to figure out a way, based on what the Red Skull was saying, there was a way to get the stone without sacrificing a soul. I thought there was going to be something like... it was like Thanos didn't figure out the trick because he was too hasty, but they figured something else out. Because friendship.
No.
That does not happen.
I did find it interesting, though, that they ended up fighting each other to sacrifice themselves. So, literally, Clint threw an explosive arrow and tried to run past her, and they literally kept going back and forth and then pulling out all these tricks to keep the other one from sacrificing themselves. Yeah. And it was just like, man, you guys really do give a shit about each other. It's honestly like, no, you don't want the other one to go. And it sucks because Nat really didn't have anybody. She had the Avengers, and that was it.
Yeah.
At least Clint, he got to go home to his family afterwards.
And to see that, like, once in the end, it's Nat that ends up falling and sacrificing herself to allow Clint to get the soul gem, which, and you can tell. What's very interesting is that the very much echoes what happened with Thanos and Gamora in Infinity War, but you could see so much more pain on Clint's face than when Thanos wakes up and he looks at the gem and he's like, okay, I have it, as opposed to...
Like, it's actually a true loss for Clint.
Yeah.
And it's a price he wasn't willing to pay. He was willing to pay himself instead.
Yeah. And it sucked that... Especially, I was like, wait, if she's dying, like, how's the Black Widow movie gonna... Like, it must be a prequel, because there's, this is...
It's gonna have to be, because there's no coming back from the Soul Stone. Gamora.
Yeah. But it...
Yeah.
Having... I don't know, like, I could have seen Clint going too, but... You're right, like, he had a family...
Now, the question is, on a side note, do you think they're gonna have Hawkeye come back after this, or do you think they're gonna release him?
Well, they have a Disney Plus series that he's involved with.
Okay.
It's been confirmed, so they're gonna have him do something on the Disney Plus service. I don't know what it's gonna be, but
gotcha. So before we hit the Captain and Tony team, let's hit the other.
The other team is which one? There's two others. There's the Morag team.
Let's do Morag.
You want to do Morag?
Because that ties into Vormir.
Yes, and that's like where a lot of
The craziness comes
the
from.
craziness and the problems pop up because the Morag team going after the Power Stone are War Machine and Nebula.
Odd couple.
Yeah,
as far as a pairing goes. It's like, wait, and she's complaining about being made for this and being mostly cybernetic.
But I really feel like it was kind of like that's who's left because all the other pairings made more sense.
Right, but it's also kind of cool though because now he can only walk because of cybernetics.
Yep.
So he's like, I get you, because literally his walking now is only because of the implants and the stuff Tony made for him.
Yep.
Which I thought was kind of cool because now he's got the big War Machine suit and it's kind of like a big expanded,
extension of himself.
Yeah, it's really cool actually.
I loved, and the thing I liked about all of these, like when they time travel, all these little events in these groups, is that all the callback, like you said, all the callbacks to the movies, all the 21 other movies that they did, like
they got Chris Pratt singing and dancing and whatnot, and knock him out.
And knock him out. It's like, so he's an idiot. Yes, he's an idiot. But this group has the biggest plot twist in the fact that now that Nebula is in that time, her streams, her like mind stream and data streams cross with the Nebula from that time. Nebula.
Which is interesting because that means she's got like some kind of super Wi-Fi connection or whatever to a home server or something.
I need those connections. That's like spanning solar systems. Hell yeah.
Yeah, literally spanning a galaxy. Yeah, that's dope. No, it's actually really interesting though because then Thanos ends up seeing footage of what our Nebula sees. And he was like, wait, what is this? Bring her to my ship.
Yep. And that's where you kind of, in that whole process, you see that basically that's how Thanos gets back and becomes a huge antagonist. I think somebody made a message that like the Infinity Wars Thanos had all this like deep nuance. And the one here from 2014 was like, no, this is like the super villain Thanos from the comic books. Like, I'm just going to kill everybody.
Well, and so the nuance in Deep Thanos made sense because he was literally, to quote the Russo brothers, he was a holy warrior. He was like, I'm on this pilgrimage for this. Yeah. I'm only going to hurt those who get in my way until I can
do snap,
and then go on from there. So it's really interesting to see the difference of like, oh, that didn't work. You're still here and you're still coming for it. Fun, killing everyone.
Yeah, the whole like. And we get to it, like when he's sitting there, it's like, I'm going to shred this entire universe to its last atom. I'm going to rebuild the universe with people who are appreciative of what I'm giving them.
Which is kind of crazy if you think about it, because if you have the power to shred it down to the last atom and recreate it, why don't you just quadruple the resources?
And again, it shows why he is the mad titan.
Yeah, like it's like literally you've got all this power. And your thing is like, oh, well, we need to kill half the population so that the resources will last. Well, if you have the power to shred the universe and redo it, why don't you just...
I was going to say, especially...
16 times the resources everywhere. Go nuts.
And, like, not understanding the fact that, look, you've got... Yeah, you took out half a life and people were upset. Maybe this isn't the path we need to go down. Maybe he's like, no, I'm going to go even further. I'm just going to erase history in the universe as we know it and make my own universe. And, again, it just shows how crazy... Thanos was.
No, this is the Bender variant of Thanos, where I'm going to make my own universe with hookers and blackjack. That's legit where he was going with this.
But this grouping as well, and the events in Morag also do allow... This is how Gamora comes back.
Yes. Well, this is how Thanos, Ebony Maw, the rest of the Black Order, and all of the Outriders are brought over.
Yep.
So, Bad Nebula takes the gold stripe off of Good Nebula's head from where her sister helped her rebuild, and comes back after War Machine's already come back and sneaks into the computer system.
It's going to let them in. And we'll get to that one in a minute. But
and then pause. Let's go to Asgard.
Asgard. Man, that was one of the, probably aside from the Vormir group, that was one of the more briefer ones because it was Thor and Rocket.
And Rocket was the only one on focus.
Yeah. And that was really more of like a Thor story and reconnecting with his mother.
And getting advice from his mother. And it also answers the question of why was Mjolnir not available for parts of Thor 2.
I was like, oh my god, that's it.
Because he's like, and his mother's like, it takes a second.
And he takes the hammer to verify, yes, I'm still worthy.
Which is just like, okay, nuts. You got Mjolnir. All right, cool. I'm down with it.
It was real, but it was really nice to see kind of Thor and Frigga come, talking to her son, like, hey, you're a failure, but guess what? You're like everybody else.
We all fail.
We all fail. The big thing part, getting back up and continuing our process. Ooh, get on there. It's late here.
Sorry, it's late at night. He's not had his daily dose of Game of Thrones yet, so.
No, I'm not. And I'll have to eat dinner while I'm watching for full transparency, as we're doing this spoiler cast, the Battle of Winterfell is happening, and I need to know what the fuck happens.
Avoid social media, please.
Oh, yeah,
because
no.
a mutual friend of ours will be guaranteed spoiling it live.
Yep.
I don't get why people do that. I'm not a Game of Thrones fan, but I would still be very upset if someone spoiled something like that.
Yeah, give people a little bit of time.
Just calm down, guys. It's like, that's why we're not streaming this live.
Yep. But, no, it was really nice. It was cool to see Jane Foster. And not even just Jane, but like them reaching back out to all the old actors who have been in the movies before. So Rene Russo, Natalie Portman, who else was in we haven't talked about them just yet. But like all those actors, bringing them back into the movies. Mm-hmm. It was really cool to see. But yeah, Thor, them calling Rocket a rabbit, like, get that rabbit.
My favorite thing, though, with everything going on, is you see Loki imprisoned.
Yes, hanging out. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm just hanging out here, and Thor's running around with his robes.
Lebowski Thor is sneaking by.
But
I could imagine Thor being the Big Lebowski now.
Oh my god. It's great they make that reference to earlier. But like Thor they get the Reality Stone and
Mjolnir.
They take Mjolnir back. I think the biggest, the one that took a lot of the time of the four groups was
Space Stone.
New York.
Well, New York, but there's 3 stones there, so it makes sense.
And
you've got the Space Stone, the Time Stone, and Mind Stone.
And I love the fact that they start. That was a really hype moment, like when they're going through the tunnels, like where are they going to start first? And they pop New York 2012, and it's the Avengers.
Like the battle for New York.
I remember that. When the camera spins around all of them, and they're setting up to fight and battle.
And then over in the alley over here is like the Avengers coming through time to. All right, we need these stones. Time heist. Let's go. But the funny thing is, they sent. They sent Cap, Iron Man, the Hulk, and Ant-Man.
Yes. This is probably my favorite section. It was so hilarious. I enjoyed kind of like Tony and Scott Lang sneaking around trying to get the Tesseract. Mm-hmm. The America's Ass. Oh my god, I was dying.
America's Ass was hilarious, especially when he's like, "Oh, that is America's Ass."
I just love Paul Rudd because he's such a big fan of Captain America. As far as I'm concerned, that's America's Ass. I'm like, what?
I mean, to be fair, America did pay for it.
True. You're right.
That's like, super soldier serum. So hey.
I loved that joke. I loved all the tongue-in-cheek references in here, especially to all the Captain America movies when Cap ends up fighting himself.
And I could do this all day. He's like, yeah, I know.
The best one.
Well, hang on. Before you do that, I love the fact that to literally get his younger self off of him because he's getting beat by himself. And he's like, Bucky's alive.
What? I got it. I got him. No, the best one by far is Hell Hydra.
No, the fact that he gets in the elevator.
And because I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, this is about to be another like
the elevator scene from Winter Soldier.
Yes.
No. Oh my god, that was brilliant using his past knowledge. It's like, oh, they're all Hydra agents, all of them. Sitwell, all of them. And he goes in there and he's just like, yeah, orders, I'm going to take point on this because someone's trying to steal it, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Blah blah blah. Hail Hydra.
And it's a great callback to that huge Secret Empire storyline in the comics.
The one that literally we have a meme article about on the website still.
We do. And like every showing I went to, they were hooting and hollering as soon as he was walking out of the elevator with the case. Like, yeah.
Well, because at that point they're like, oh, he's on our side. Oh, okay.
It's.
But the fact that they brought Crossbones back just for that scene,
just for that, I was just like, yes.
I didn't realize though that Sitwell and those boys were the ones who got the staff, which enabled it to go back to Baron von Strucker.
Yep, because that was never fully
explained. Like, how'd you get that from the Avengers?
Well, I guess that was assumed because I think Winter Soldier happened before Age of Ultron, so a shield went down.
Yeah. But at least this gives it like a proper channel of, oh, okay, they took it there and they gave it to him.
Yep.
Instead,
the whole scene of trying to get the Tesseract. And
hang on, the whole Kevin to take the stairs.
Hate stairs, and he like smashing the door open.
Freaking deck Tony with the door.
That was hilarious, and that was interesting as well because I'm assuming this is how they get Loki his own show.
But also that means that Loki's still alive now. Because he never got apprehended and taken to Asgard for custody.
Yes. It's because when the Tesseract drops, he picks it up and just teleports out.
Like yoink, whoop,
and he's gone. That really leaves the door open in that, and I don't. Based on how they described how the time travel works, is that a separate reality?
Well, no, they were saying it would cause branching realities because the stones would be gone, but they returned the stones.
Ooh, and I want to have that conversation actually in just a second because that brings up a theory that I'm concerned about.
Okay.
But honestly, that's the
the time travel paradox.
Sort of, yeah. Well, Bruce goes and gets
the time stone.
The time stone, and another awesome callback. They got Tilda Swinton
to come back and be the Ancient One.
Yes, and he's like, I'm here to see Doctor Strange. She's like, you're about 5 years early. He's currently doing a surgery over at New York General.
And the fact that she can just be like, oh yeah, he's over there. He doesn't have powers yet. But the fact that we literally get a call that, oh yeah, Doctor Strange is right there, and this is what's going on, and then she's like, no, you don't understand. I'm not giving it to you. Boom! And we get to see Ruffalo come out of the Hulk body.
Astral form.
So cool.
Out of the Hulk. And it was interesting as well because when it dawns on you that she has the time stone, she probably has already seen
everything else.
Like, okay, I know Stephen Strange, she makes that comment like, Stephen Strange is meant to be the best of us. Why did he give Thanos the time stone unless he already had a plan? And
then Ruffalo's like, well, he must have messed up. And she's like, unless I did.
Yeah, gives a stone. I want to bring up this one point, though, specifically because this is where we hear the conversation that the Ancient One brings in about the stones. And she looks at it, kind of Mark's going back and forth like, we need the stones, please give us a time stone. She's like, well, shows that chart like what we deem as the flow of time is controlled by the Infinity Stones. And if you take one out, branches of reality happen, and those are very, very bad. And then, of course, Bruce is like, well, we'll just put it back. Everything will be fine. Here's the question, though. In the present time, Thanos destroys
the
stone. So what does that mean for Phase 4 and beyond? If we take her statement at a literal comment, like those stones control what is known as the flow of time, what does that mean now that in that time the stones are destroyed? What could come about from that?
Well, so there's several characters that even with the Infinity Gauntlet in the Marvel mythos that Thanos could get his butt whipped by. This leads things in for the Beyonders. We could get that kind of stuff. We could get the One Above All. There's a lot of other stuff that can happen to kind of rein the universe in. So, who knows, man? Honestly, who knows? I hope all the time travel shenanigans brings Kang the Conqueror. That'd be
And so, like, I'm that's where I'm getting at. Is like, does this mean, is this some way to bring Kang the Conqueror in with his time traveling foolery? I don't know, but it was very interesting. Maybe we'll see something about that in later movies. But then, basically, everybody gets their stones, and it basically boils down to because of the Hulk, Tony and Ant-Man screw up, and they can't get the Tesseract because Loki takes it.
And then they have one ride back because of Pym particles. And their thing is like, well, what if we steal more?
And they go to New Jersey, 1970.
Which was the time when Howard Stark and Hank Pym were in the same office building.
Yep. And kind of Steve and Tony split up. Steve going to get the Pym particles. It was really nice to see him interact, like the touching moments of like, this is also when Peggy Carter. Yes.
Yeah. So we get to see Steve kind of like through the dark window just be like,
there's Peggy. Again, Haley Atwell bringing her back.
yeah. And I thought it was interesting that when going back to the fight between both Steve Rogers, that with everything going on, when the compass gets knocked out and young Steve sees older Steve's compass still has Peggy's picture in it.
Yep.
He never could let go. And so he's like, where'd you get this? It's just like,
where'd you get this from? I also really liked the moments that Tony has when he goes and gets the Tesseract, and the moment he has with his dad.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was really nice to see. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's been playing Tony Stark, the older version, or Howard Stark, for a while now, and kind of them bringing him back on and him having the conversation. Him having the conversation with the son, even though he doesn't know that it's his son.
Hang on.
Take a look.
There's a picture of him, like, because that's him.
Yep.
Hang on. Visiting the Marvel Movies fandom page.
I know the name is on the tip of my tongue. John Slattery.
Oh, John Slattery. Oh, Gerard Sanders must have been the younger one.
Yeah, John Slattery. That's him.
Gerard Sanders, what?
But it was really nice to kind of see those moments and have those talks and discussions.
Oh, Gerard Sanders was the guy in the pictures in the first Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
And then Dominic Cooper was the young one in Captain America: First Avenger.
But having that conversation, kind of going back to the birthplace of Captain America, it was really cool to see. And kind of them succeed. They get all their stones.
Mm-hmm.
They go back. There's that moment when you really have the original Avengers, where they realize that Nat's gone, and that the Black Widow's not coming back, and she sacrificed herself.
Literally, the Hulk Professor Hulk rips a mounted bench off of a thing and just launches it across a lake.
Yeah, and kind of that. I liked that emotional part where like Thor's like, "What? We can just snap her back with everybody else. It won't be a problem." And Hawkeye kind of has that moment. It's like,
there's no coming back.
There's no coming back. At least that's what the dude with the red face said. You know what? Why don't you grab your hammer? Why don't you go out and talk to him?
Which is kind of interesting though, because I'm surprised Cap didn't pick up that was the Red Skull.
That's true. And I was actually curious. I didn't know if they knew, if they put it together that was the Red Skull. I figured they would have known, especially on Shield's history lessons and whatnot.
One would think, but I mean, I guess you just never know. But yeah, so you have that moment. Then
this is basically where everything just ramps up to 11 and fight time happens for reals.
Well, not quite. Like, we've got Nebula, and they're hacking their computers trying to bring Thanos and his crew through on the time travel. And while all that's happening, they're fighting over who's going to put on the Infinity Gauntlet that was made by Tony.
Yep.
And the Hulk was like, no, the radiation's gamma. It's almost like I was made for this.
Yeah. And kind of like him putting that on, them getting prepared, and like him finally actually getting the snap to bring everybody back. And I think that was a nice, tense moment, because as this is happening, Nebula brings back, the Thanos' flagship comes through the portal, busts through the skies, but then, Ant-Man's over here, he's looking at, you can see the birds now, they're chirping, and then that silence, and then you hear the phone ring, and it's Hawkeye's wife calling him on the phone, and kind of that emotional, he's like, she's back, oh my God, she's back.
He's been paying for that phone all these years.
And, wow. You know what I would think? I would hope people would get like free service, like no, we still want to. You still got to pay your bill. I don't care if half the people are dead. You still got to pay your bill.
Knowing AT&T, they would do that.
That would be a shame. I hope it doesn't come to that. Like, come on, guys.
Dude, it's AT&T.
Okay.
Have you ever had them?
You're probably right. I have them. I have them right now.
I got them for home internet. I guarantee you they're like that.
I have them right now. But them coming in, Hulk pulling up the snap, only to be staring straight up and seeing like a big missile come in and destroy the entire Avengers compound.
Yes, that was one hell of a direct hit.
Oh yeah, no,
but surprisingly, nobody got hurt.
Because Avengers,
yeah. It's funny though, because when all this goes down, like you see those guys, they're trying to figure out what happened. Clint's the first one to realize, get the football.
Yes. Let's go. But then, of course, we get Thanos comes down. We gotta talk. Basically, we got three groups, guys. We got Hawkeye's running around with the Infinity Gauntlet, and he's got the big Outriders.
He's playing keep away.
Yeah. We got Professor Hulk, War Machine, and Rocket trapped under some rubble. And, of course, at this point,
the Hulk is pulling the Spider-Man and holding it up.
With one hand, because the other hand is burnt up because of the Infinity Gauntlet.
Like, burnt and just blackened up to his neck.
And then Ant-Man's on his way to save them. And then we got the Dream Team, the three amigos, Cap, Iron Man, and Thor.
Literally the three most powerful dudes in that bunch.
And they're just watching. Thanos is just sitting there waiting for Nebula to go get him the gauntlet. Which
is interesting here, because literally those guys are like, Tony's like, it's a trap. Yeah. And?
Oh, yeah, and Thor's like, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Number one, we get dual-wielding Thor.
Which was nuts. Also, how did him grabbing both of them, like, supercharge them and Viking Braid at the same time?
That was awesome.
Because all of a sudden he goes from, like, raggedy, whatever, to just, like, most badass ever Viking Braid.
That was cool. That was super, super dope. I was glad to see that. And then just this fight.
Bro.
Oh, my God. Tony getting supercharged by Thor's hammers to shoot the beams out.
I love that he thought about being able to collect the energy fired from Thor's lightning to amplify his power. Yep. It was just
original Avengers. Thor hits him with the lightning bolt, and he's like, "Oh, I got 400% charge." Okay,
right. But now it's like, no, I can properly direct it too. It's just like, oh crap.
The whole as soon as Mjolnir hit the ground.
Tony's unconscious in the Iron Man suit because he took Mjolnir to the head.
Yep.
Because Thanos grabbed him to block. Meat shield.
And Thor is about to get cut in half with Stormbreaker.
Which, hang on. You know how Stormbreaker and Mjolnir, you have to be worthy?
And I thought about that, and I think that Mjolnir is the only one you have to necessarily be worthy.
But because did Thanos pick up Mjolnir at any point? He picked up Stormbreaker for sure.
He never touched Mjolnir.
Okay,
but I think the reason is because Odin enchanted Mjolnir, not Stormbreaker.
Right.
So Thor could still recall it, but anybody could technically pick up Stormbreaker if they so chose.
Yeah, which is funny that they're calling this Stormbreaker because it's not. Because in the comics, Beta Ray Bill has Stormbreaker.
Yes, I mean it's. Adaptation.
No, I get it, but I just want Beta Ray Bill in this
universe. You know who can pick up the Mjolnir?
No, not just pick it up. Summon it.
Dude, I was so hyped when I'm like, dude, he's about to pick it up. You heard me. He's picking it up. And sure enough, Cap picks up the shield and throws it at Oh, that was such an awesome
No, the fact that he's using the shield while hitting it with Mjolnir.
That was awesome. Well, he throws the shield and it flies up in the air, and then he throws Mjolnir and it like makes this sound wave effect that staggers Thanos.
Oh my god!
Thor's like, I knew it.
Well, it's a good thing he did, because without that, Thor would have died.
That was a Gatorade cooler hype moment. Everybody in the theater was like, oh, yeah, he's working. Yeah, let's go.
Well, and not only that, it's just so iconic, because there was a moment in one of the comic runs where he's literally like that in his traditional garb, like Captain America garb, with Mjolnir and the shield, and we got that payoff.
Yes, we did. And it's like him wailing down, like spinning the hammer, throwing it up, shooting the lightning at Thanos.
It like just second nature, getting the powers of Thor because of Odin. It's just like, oh my god.
It was so great. And then eventually we do have Thanos kind of beats Steve back. He knocks Mjolnir out of his hands and he cuts his shield in half and he's beating him down.
And then he kind of just stands back and waits as all the armies arrive for the Outriders.
Because he thinks, it's Thanos. He thinks he's won. And one of them, again, like, you're so wrapped up in this fight, in this battle, you totally forget. And then, Steve, he gets up. He's, he's got that I could do this all day face, strapping it up. And it's like, I like that little scene of like, you saw Steve and then you saw the whole Black Army.
And Steve's the first one standing up and the only one willing to be there right away. Like, I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then to hear, he's like walking up towards them and hear the radio crackle. And it's Sam on the line, like, hey, Cap, on your left. And
on your left, oh my god, the fact that he said that, and then just portals
open.
Holy
Black
crap.
Panther, Okoye, all the people that got dusted.
Dude, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, everybody.
Guardians, Groot, Bucky. They had the army, the people from the Wakandan army that came through. The Wong got
all the other people from the Sanctum Sanctorum and everywhere else. It'd be like,
all the sorcerers came in. They had airships. Who else was there? The Wasp, Hope Van Dyne was there.
Hope was there, and then on top of that, Valkyrie showed up, and so
as some of the Asgardians came as well. And Rescue
showed
there.
up.
Pepper Potts and the rescue armor drops down. Oh my god! And then just that build up, and then the music swells, and they said it finally.
They finally completed it because they teased us at the end of Age of Ultron.
Yes, they did.
Avengers, and they cut off. No, this time we got the full Avengers Assemble from Captain America.
Well, it's like, yeah, everybody in the theater is like, yes, let's do this.
And it's legit all the Avengers ever, like, yes, let's go.
You have a giant man comes up through the rubble, and he's got Professor Hulk, and he's got War Machine in this badass new armor with Rocket, like, which, by the way, they did a very good job in the trailers. He was in his old armor. They never show that new souped up armor that he has. Very
CG's powerful, bro.
Oh, yes, it is.
Well, I mean, in Infinity War, the trailer, they had the Hulk running with everybody else, and it was really him, the Hulkbuster.
Good point. But
so literally fake trailer, just because.
This fight was epic. It was super awesome. Again, so many more payoffs. You had what were some of the payoffs? Holy crap!
We had the Iron Spider using sudden kill mode.
It's a kill.
It's a kill mode. And he's literally just straight up killing Outriders, piling the bodies.
We had
Captain Marvel took out Thanos' ship.
Oh, dude! I love that they were like they were getting bombarded, and then the guns just go. Zzz, oh crap! And they're like, "What the hell's going on?
What's it targeting?" Oh shit!
And Captain Marvel just comes in and destroys the ship in one fell swoop. If
Thanos' butthole just puckered at that? It's like, oh shit.
It's like my ship. Oh crap. I loved the part when Peter has the gauntlet and they're trying to get it to the quantum realm tunnel in the van.
It's just like in the Outriders battle
and
line.
They just drop all the women.
Just like trying to help him out. It's just like
Valkyrie, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, Wasp, Okoye.
And to think, dude, he's literally a high school kid, and he held off for how long in that part of the film on his own?
It was wild.
Oh, man. For Spider-Man fans, that was a massive payoff.
I loved seeing Scarlet Witch come up to Thanos.
And just start smacking him silly.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, no, shoot the turrets. I'm going to die if you don't do anything.
You know what's really sad, man? They really should have given Wanda the kill.
You think Wanda should have?
I think Wanda should have gotten it only because of what happened to Vision. She was in love with Vision. And literally just crushed his head right in front of her. No remorse.
Yeah. I mean, anybody could have had a legitimate reason to take Thanos down themselves. And all the women coming in and like helping to try and move around the fights of when the gauntlet kind of lands on the ground and Thanos is trying to grab it with Cap and Iron Man and Thor. Captain Marvel, when he tries to headbutt Captain Marvel and she doesn't budge and he's like, oh shit. Whoa, give me the Power Stone. God.
Like literally yanks it off the gauntlet just to blast her away. It's like, Well, I mean, she is powered by the Tesseract. Literally, she got her powers because of an explosion from the Tesseract.
Yeah.
So,
people were expecting big deaths in this movie. I almost didn't think they were going to do it just because of how much money he brings in for them.
So, let's talk about that. Because Thanos obviously puts Iron Man's new Infinity Gauntlet on. And everything's going on. They're holding him off. They're keeping him from doing anything. And he looks over at Strange, and he does the one.
Like, this is the one chance. Because during the fight, Tony comes up to him and says, you said this is 1 out of 14 million. Is this the one we win? And Strange looks at him and says, if I tell you, it won't happen. And so, like, right before he's got the glove, he's getting powered up, and then Tony looks at Strange, and Strange, he gives him that one, kind of telling him, this is the one chance. This is it. And Tony really, especially from those conversations you heard, like in earlier movies in the first Avengers, when Steve tells him, you're not the one to lay down, put your life on the line when it matters, and
then he does at the end of the film.
So you're gonna grab the gauntlet, take the stones off, and then he does the snap.
And it was a brilliant sleight of hand too, because he literally just got the armor up on there, and I guess because he built it, he can just command it, hey, release this and put them on mine or whatever.
That is true. That is right.
But it is literally just like gets his hands up on it and is like, no, they're mine. And what kills me is and this is why it's like a 9.5 out of 10 for me. With everything going on, Thanos doesn't realize that maximum power source that he just got just disappeared.
Good point.
It's like he should be like, no, like freaking out when he realizes that the power influx just vanished.
There's a couple of.
And that's me nitpicking. I mean, let's be honest. This is a nitpick. But
I think there are a couple of plot holy things in there, but I didn't care. I was like, whatever. And
I do love, though, the callback to the end of the first Iron Man movie where he goes, I am Iron Man.
Yeah, and he does the snap. It was great, and I like if he's snapping, it's done. It's over for him because he can't survive that.
The only way he could have was an extremist. And you heard me, he's like, extremist?
Like,
no. Man, I really feel like, though, they missed out on this movie. Because could you imagine if Tony gave everybody extremists beforehand?
Oh, wild.
That would have been nuts.
That would have been crazy.
Could you imagine giving Captain Marvel extremists?
Yeah, he doesn't need it. He needs enough, but you kind of, as we saw the death of Tony Stark.
Yep. And I thought it was touching how in an Infinity War, he was losing it over Peter, and then Peter lost it over him.
Yeah.
And then he kind of gets pushed out of the way by Pepper. Rightfully so. It's his wife.
And I like the fact that Pepper was hurt by it, but her first comments to him was like, Tony, we're going to be okay. You can rest now.
And literally, she's the one who knew he had sleepless nights trying to think of this stuff. Mm-hmm. For how many years? Decade plus? Like, she was the one who was closest to him.
And to see him, it kind of the completion of that arc to where Tony, when we first saw him in the original Iron Man with this playboy, he didn't care, he had his money doing his whole thing, he had no responsibility to becoming a savior
literally
to the
everyone.
universe, not even just the human race, but to the universe, and helping to bring them back and finding the solutions and fighting and beating Thanos, was really, really touching. They had a nice little funeral for him. A lot of people complained, which I kind of agree with as well. Like, where the hell was Black Widow's funeral? Right? Like, Black Widow only gets
like a nod, and
she gets a couple of minutes with the groups together, but
was that her funeral?
I mean, I'm sure they were they were.
I mean, they got together to mourn. So, I mean, no, I'm saying near the lake.
That could have been.
That was that her funeral, because they were all together and they were all like semi, like, not real formal, but they were there and they were mourning. Was that her funeral? I don't know. It was never really officially dubbed anything. I mean, they didn't have like an old arc reactor to put it in the water like they had for Tony.
That's true. But you did, in that funeral scene, you did get to see everybody, the entire cast, like Black Panther, Ant-Man, everybody from the movies were grouped up and they were seen together.
I thought it was very interesting how they had Captain Marvel kind of standing on her own in the back. And also, it was cool that they brought the kid from Iron Man 3.
We did not know who that... I'm like, who is this kid in the back?
Oh, no, I knew who it was when I saw him.
I did not at all. We had to Google it.
So our buddy Chris sent me the link. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, no, I was like, oh my God.
Not Rocket Punch Chris, other Chris. There's like 400 Chris's we know.
But I was like... that hurts even more, is it's a kid from Iron Man 3 and he's all grown up and he was there to kind of see Tony off. And
I mean, literally, he was kind of his fucked up father figure.
Yeah. True. And I also appreciated the reference that Morgan made when Morgan's with Happy Hogan to the first Iron Man about the cheeseburgers, because she's like, I want cheeseburgers. And what was the first thing that Tony wanted when he got out of captivity? Cheeseburgers.
I love that Happy is literally like, your dad loved cheeseburgers. I'll get you all the cheeseburgers you want, kid.
Yeah. It was just really... It was really... Oh, it was emotional. Actually, the last showing I went to, people were crying. I could hear people audibly crying in the theater. And what basically amounts to the last scene of the movie, last arc, is when Cap, because they have to go back and deliver the stones, Captain America takes Mjolnir, takes the stones to send them back to their own time, so that time is restored. With Bucky and Sam and Hulk. Hulk sends him off. He doesn't come back. And of course, everybody's like, what's happening?
Well, he does. He doesn't. They try bringing him back after 5 seconds. Nothing happens. They keep trying. Hulk starts freaking out. And then Buck looks up and he's like, Sam. And he's sitting on a bench near the water.
And it's old Cap.
Yes.
Old Cap.
Old 100-plus-year-old Cap.
He's sitting there. He basically went back in time and then decided to
go back even further and catch that dance he promised.
And that was very sweet, very touching to kind of... Because as we've known, Chris Evans has said this is his last movie as Cap. Kind of to see that arc kind of close as well. And again, very excited that they also passed the shield and the mantle to Sam.
I thought it was really touching also how he had essentially a new vibranium shield made.
Yes.
And brought that with him. This leaves a lot of questions, though. Because he stayed, our timeline is now different.
And that's what I like. That's another thing too. I don't know if that's that's another plot hole thing. I'm curious.
No, it's not a plot
well.
hole. This literally changes our timeline, because the whole reason why the Carter series and all that happened was because they didn't have Cap. That's part of why they started S.H.I.E.L.D. They didn't have a super soldier, so they made a team of people to handle the work. So now they have a super soldier.
Well, that also depends on what... Because I know there have been discussions and rumors of some of the comments that were made in other movies by Peggy Carter made it almost allude to the fact that you never really knew who her husband was. Is it something where Cap went back and just basically had to be a civilian? He didn't go to the army. He's like, I got to keep my head down. And
I'm sorry. You go to get an ID picture. Your name and face has been all over the newspapers and video reels in 1940s.
Somebody's going to VA you.
They're going to recognize you. I'm sorry. There's no way around it. Literally, half the news things are about how you're beating the Nazis back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. They're going to see who you are. There's no disguising that. I'm sorry. You're not, you're not Robert Downey Jr. playing Sherlock. So,
but it was very touching that the movie ends with them having that dance.
Yeah.
And then it kind of cuts off and shows the credits. It was really awesome to see all those people that were in the movie, but them especially take the original 6 Avengers and give them their own like personalized stingers at the end. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's a very nice touch. I thought that was awesome. Hang on, we skipped the most important part.
What part did we skip?
It's even more important than Tony snapping. The Stan Lee cameo.
Oh yeah, we did. I guess we didn't talk about the Stan Lee cameo.
So when they're in the 1970s outside the military installation in New Jersey, where, funny enough, Cap trained, and first Shield base was made, driving by at breakneck speeds is literally picture for picture Stan Lee from back in the day. And he's got a woman in the passenger seat driving by, and he's like, "Make love, not war."
Yep. Little hippie Stan Lee, man. It was awesome.
Oh, man.
It was really good to see.
Oh, dude. I don't know if I want another cameo of Stan Lee or not.
Is there one in Far From Home?
We don't know. We know they filmed a whole bunch of them. I think I'm kind of good with ending it at the Infinity Saga. It's just like his one final, like, homage.
Kind of too.
It's like, he passed, but a lot of the reason why the Infinity Saga happened was because of what they did back in the day. And now that all the originals are gone, I don't know if it's right to have only the Stan tributes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see.
Yeah, who knows? But holy crap.
Yes. Yeah, like we said, roller coaster ride through and through.
I gotta say, though, man, be it to Tony to go out in the flashiest way possible.
With a snap? With his finger?
That was that one hell of a snap.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. I think it was nice that they didn't have a post-credit scene. It kind of signifies this is the end of this saga. It's kind of signifying, I think, as well, like there's nothing to set up right now. We're taking a break. They just got X-Men. They just got Fantastic Four. They got a lot of other properties that they're going to try and weave into the MCU. So they've got some work to do.
I will say I love what they're doing with Thor now, though, where he essentially made Valkyrie the ruler of New Asgard.
Yes, we didn't even talk about that.
And he's joining the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Everybody's like, I cannot wait for Guardians 3. Thor is part of the Guardians. Oh my god.
Well, and Thor Ragnarok was amazing. So now if you have the Asgardians of the Galaxy, because that's going to be dope. I also love that everyone was like, yeah, we know who's in charge.
Of course.
Freaking Chris Hemsworth, man.
I love that.
That was brilliant.
But like,
I really am gonna love Pratt and Hemsworth having to be opposites of each other in an entire film.
It's just I'm gonna enjoy all the changes they've made. Like Sam Wilson is now the Captain America. Thor's with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Tony's not there anymore. Like, what is this? What does the next generation, the next saga, look like for our players?
And we're gonna kind of see a hint of that for Far From Home.
Yeah, we are. Gotta wait till July.
The interesting thing with that, though, is apparently this is still Far From Home will still be part of Phase 3. It's not the beginning of Phase 4.
Oh, it's not?
Nope. So this is kind of like the final movie to kind of set up some things, but it's not the it's not the end there. So
very interesting.
I'm sorry, it's not the beginning; it's the end. So they're actually doing an entire year without shooting film. This is the first time they've done that since they started.
Well, when you make $1.2 billion, you can
in the first
weekend you can afford to take a break.
Yeah, you know what? Though, in all seriousness, could you imagine like the planning and production they've got? Because they've got another 3 or 4 phases to plan. Because when they announced their Marvel movie roadmap, no one believed them back in the day, and they're like, "Yeah, No, this is real. This is going to happen.
You know what blows my mind too is I saw a lot of posts on the internet. Those movies have been out for 11 years.
They've been working on it for 11 years, yeah.
There were people who were making posts like, I remember when I was 12 and I saw Iron Man for the first time in '08. And now they're in their early 20s. Why, like the impact that they had.
Grew up with these movies.
And like the kids saying like, this is our generation Star Wars.
No, this is greater than Star Wars. Star Wars was a total of 6 films over like 20-something years.
Well, I mean, like as far as like back in the '70s, that original trilogy and like that wonderment that we had or they had back then, like they're like comparative like that feeling.
Oh, true. It's insane because with economies of scale, new technology, diversified teams, so you don't have one guy in charge of it. You have Feige in charge over several teams. Mm-hmm. And so I gotta say, man, the fact that this all came out of an idea Feige had back in the the 90s, this is brilliant. Give that man a raise.
I was gonna say, like if by the time this movie finishes its run in theaters, Disney will have made over $20 billion off of 22 movies.
Think about that. And this movie is going to at least breach $2 billion on its own before it's all said and done in theaters, before DVD sales, before Blu-ray sales, and then it's going to hit Disney Plus.
Yep. And like that 20 billion doesn't include like merchandising sales or anything like that.
So. Oh no! And you want to know how many Iron Man dolls I've seen at the theaters? I feel real bad for those kids bringing those in. That's all I'm saying.
Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
The movie was great. I enjoyed every bit of it. Yeah, I think somebody online's a review on Rotten Tomatoes set it up very nicely. They said that if Infinity War is the brawn, then Endgame is the brains of these two. And I think they're right on the nose. There was a lot more fighting, a lot more intense combat in Infinity War, and this one, Endgame, was very much a thought like thinking game. You had to think about like some of the tactics that they're having to use.
Because. Yeah, true. I do like how that essentially, though, everything happening was because Ant-Man had the idea of a heist.
Time heist.
It's like
a time heist.
Bro, I cannot believe that literally this is essentially the most epic heist film you'll ever see in your lives.
But it was an awesome adventure.
Yeah.
I loved every bit of it. Every bit of it. There. That's it. That's the movie.
So, what is the total runtime of every MCU film?
Somebody said if you put them all together, it's a little over 48 hours. So wow. I want to say like 2 days. Yeah, it's got to be if you do an average of 2 hours a movie.
Yeah. So, wow, really? Iron Man was 2 hours and 6 minutes?
Yep. If you do an average of 2 hours a movie, 22 movies, that alone is going to put you at 44.
Wow, I didn't realize the Iron Man films they were all over 2 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Man, RDJ put in work.
It was worth it, though. They were good movies.
Yeah. Okay, wow.
Will's looking at all the times and stuff. So.
I can't believe I spent that much of my life watching all these films.
I spent 2 days. 2 days for this entire saga. There's nothing like it. And I don't know if there ever will be, at least in our time.
Well, we haven't seen Phase 4 through 6 yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's why, like, as of now, as of this recording, we don't know.
Yeah. So, hang on. Wow.
Dead silence. We're
sorry, guys.
paying our respects to everybody who passed in game here. What are you looking for?
No, I was trying to look at. Let's see where it is. The shortest one is Thor: The Dark World. It's tied with The Incredible Hulk. Doctor Strange is next after that. Then Thor 1. And then, other than Ant-Man, Thor, Doctor Strange, Incredible Hulk, and Thor: Dark World, everything else is 2 hours or longer.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I believe it.
Well, I have nothing else.
I've said my piece.
So on a scale of 10.
Oh, I didn't give my a score.
Because I'm at 9.5.
I'd say 9. I'd say 9 out of 10.
All right.
A very strong 9 out of 10. Like, and believe me, I'm easy to please. I love the movie. It may be one of... It's up there on my list as favorite Marvel movies in the MCU of all time for me. I loved the payoffs. I loved the... like, this 100% the payoff for all these different things that have happened in the MCU over the last 22 movies is summed up very, very well in here, and I loved every minute of it.
So I'm going to read the top 10 movies of all time according to reviews on IMDb. Shawshank Redemption, The Godfather, Avengers Endgame, The Dark Knight, Godfather Part 2, Lord of the Rings Return of the King, Pulp Fiction, Schindler's List, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and 12 Angry Men.
That's some good company to be in.
Oh my gosh.
That's some
It's
very
literally
good company to
number
be in.
3. And the only ones that people have rated higher are Shawshank Redemption and The Godfather. Both classic films. I don't know where we go from here, guys. I really don't. But that's the end of our very first spoiler cast, and I got nothing else to say. Thank you for tuning in and watching this whole time
It
or
was
listening.
awesome. Yeah, Meg, thank you guys so much. I had a lot of fun talking about the movie and kind
And
of getting it out there. I mean, we had to make a Discord channel so everybody could talk about the Endgame because people can't just hold it in.
what's the role we had to give people again?
Endgame Survivor, I think what I named it because I just had to name something.
All right, that's fair. All right, well, until next time, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you.